Now let's head back over here to the design. Now the rest of this is just basically everything you've seen us do so far. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'll give you a few pointers here. Whenever you go to cut this, your body blank is not going to be thick enough anymore because we changed it. So you need to add this 0.15 thickness back to the top of the body blank to be able to cut through from the top. So to do that, you see right here we did this combine move for this drop top. If you suppress that, it adds the thickness. Let's see, to join those back together, it was the split right here. Let's suppress this split as well. Now it's one solid piece again. So you can see how it kind of goes. Having too much geometry in here makes it difficult to toolpath, so you just need to go back through your timeline and suppress all the geometry that you don't want to see. Let's hide this body blank here. So we now need to bring this, for instance, on these cuts here. Let's unsuppress this. And see, and that's good. We don't want to unsuppress this right now because these are two different levels. And that would make it confusing to try to cut this depth because this is at a different depth on this wing over here. So if we go back and suppress those again, now that makes it very simple to make a tool path. So back over here we can just delete this setup and start fresh with a new setup. And select the two bodies. And head over here. Give this a name. And go to your G56 offset and put in that from solid body blank, which is now the full thickness, and go back to this top spot here. And then I started with these. I just did a 2D pocket again. Now you can play around with that adaptive clearing. It's supposed to be faster, and all of this stuff is subject to change. Whatever works best for you and your machine. You'll just refine this over time. If you're going to be doing these, try to do it as a business. You definitely want to refine all of this stuff. Even the neck they already cut out. There's a lot to be desired in that. As it is, it can be finished out with tools. You can hand finish it out easy enough, which is nice to do. It actually gets your hands involved, and just like being a real luthier. But you can certainly do a lot more tooling on it and get it much more refined with the machine. And I'll use that I'll use a 3/8 to hog out most of it. Now for the geometry, all I can do is select these rectangles. Step over and then go back down to my 0.1 on these, because these are almost an inch deep. It's probably still going to chatter at that, but I'll deal with the feeds and speeds while I'm cutting it. You may need multiple depths if you have a weak machine. Stock to leave, I'm going to go ahead and leave this radial stock in. And I'm going to take out the axial. Turn on my smoothing. And get rid of the lead in and lead out transition. And I'm going to ramp this down at about 10 degrees. And that's fine. And then actually we could have put this neck pocket in as well. So let's go ahead and right click on this and edit that. And go back to the geometry, and let's also include this neck pocket right here. Click and hold that and close it and add this rest of this back here. Let's just dump that. Let's try this again. It still doesn't work. And close this in. Add the rest of this geometry here. And plus. Okay. Okay, and that'll take care of the majority of that. Now we need to create a contour all the way around, and it's probably going to be the easiest thing to do is just go back over to the design and create it from sketches. So this top sketch, I think we need the top sketch and the body. I'm going to create a sketch, and I'll just put that on the top construction plane. I'm going to hit my project key and project in. This outside line all the way around, and this line. This little line here and this little line right there. Click OK on that. Now hide the top sketch and the body, and there we go. That's the outline we want. We're going to finish that. You can give it a name if you want to. Head back over here to this manufacturing, turn back on the body and the drop top. And now we're going to create a 2D contour. I'm going to use that 3/8 flat end mill. And for the geometry, I'm going to select that sketch line right there. Make sure my arrow's on the outside. And then here on heights, we're going to change the bottom height to the stock bottom, so that we cut all the way through. Now go back to the geometry here, and then you have this tabs function here, and we're going to do a rectangular tab about 3/8 wide by 1/8 inch, 0.125, 1/8 inch thick, and tab position is at points. So right around in here should be some geometry you can hook on to right here, and that'll give you one tab on this side down here at the bottom, and that's just to keep the thing from going totally crazy when it finally cuts through. If the outside stock part and the body part can move, that'll give the chance for the edge of the mill to grab something and something bad to happen. Another thing you can do is, because these holes will potentially already be in here, and these holes will potentially already be in here, you could actually put fasteners through these holes into your bed to hold this body still. But I'm just going to use a tab right there. I'm not too concerned about it. I just want to add a little extra. Now you can't put one on here in that same place because the body will already be removed from this cutout, but you can put one in right here. I'm going to put that there. You can't, it won't do any good back here because this is going to be cut away from the actual pins. So the tabs in those two positions will help stabilize things when it cuts all the way through. And then on this one we will go to the passes here and take my tolerance down, and then multiple depths. I can do about 0.2 is goes through without a whole lot of screaming and chattering. And then I'm going to turn on the smoothing, not leaving any stock behind, and definitely get rid of the lead in and the lead out. And on this one, the ramping move, I'll do 10 degrees on that ramp. Safe distance, go ahead and lower this value down until the red disappears. 0.15. Actually 0.2 might be okay. Yeah, 0.2 on that. And there you have it. It's going to ramp down through all that. And like I said in the video, you'll see I don't cut all the way through the first time. The first time I just go down to and leave about a 1/4 inch or so on the bottom. And then that leaves me room to cut these comforts out without, it makes it easier to cut these comforts out. So you want to go ahead and process that. And then I think after that, let me turn off these sketches here. And we hogged all this stuff out with a 3/8. We want to go back in now with a 1/4 inch and clean this thing up. So we can go back to a 2D contour for this one. Since the pocket's already created, we just need to clean the edges up. And then to select the tool, we're going to use that 1/4 inch flat end mill. And for the geometry, we're going to click this and this by itself. And that should be good to go. Make sure you're not leaving any stock. Knock this smoothing down. And get rid of these lead ends. Actually not on this one, we will leave those in. Don't need a ramp, we'll lead in on this, that'll be fine. And then click OK. See, it'll come down here inside the pocket and then move towards the wall and go around. And that'll clean up these corners and make your radiuses tighter on these corners more than anything, mostly. And we want to do that again, 2D contour. And this time we're going to keep the 1/4 inch bit, and this time for the geometry we're going to do just this route right here. Now this one, if you leave it just as it is, your neck is not going to fit in this because it's cut to the exact same size. The pocket and the neck are the exact same size, and it will not fit. So if you go over here and go to stock to leave, we don't want to leave stock, we want to take stock out. And on the actual stock, we can put that at 0. That's the bottom down here. But on the radial stock, this will be a negative value here. And a negative 0.004 will not be enough. It's gonna be too tight. You'll have to change the actual neck too much to get it to fit in that pocket. I went with a 0.01 and it was still pretty darn tight. I had to do quite a bit of sanding on the neck to get it to fit in the pocket. But it is a good, nice, tight fit at 0.01. So maybe 0.015 or 0.02. There again, this is why we use cheap wood to prototype all this stuff in case it doesn't work out. We need to do it again. But yeah, anything down around that range should make enough for you to get in there and stick the neck in. And you don't need multiple depths on this because the bulk was already cut away in the last process. And as you can see, it's going to come into the pocket and then dive in and go around. And then you can do a drilling operation. Keep that 1/4 inch flat. And I just drill all these holes at a 1/4 inch, and I can make them bigger later That's easy enough to do. And you can keep all this. This can just be a regular wrap it out for these small depths is okay. And then the other thing you'll need to do is another drilling operation for these 1/8 inch holes, and these are kind of long. I use an actual 1/8 inch drill bit on this. And I had to change. I kept zeroing. I kept running into my zero stop on my z-axis on this. I had to actually create a bit that's actually long enough to work out, because these bits are too short. Anyway, just did a 1/8 inch right here, 1/8 inch drill bit. See, it's only an inch and a half long, so I created a 3 inch one out of this. And then when you select the geometry, you have to select 2 times. First to get through the top, and then the one beneath it into the body. And just select all those, and then over here make sure you do the chip breaking here. And this is a little bit nonsensical for wood, so you could probably chip these down about 0.1 with that small bit. And then accumulated pecks will go 0.3, so that'll be 3 pecks before it comes up. And then the breaking distance can be 0.04. And using a real drill bit, there's not as much problem with the heat and smoke and all that stuff as trying to do with an end mill. So that'll be a process by itself to cut those out. What else do we need to do here? Let's see, after that I went back over to the manufacturing. Went back over to the design. And the last 2 steps in the process, I used my 1/2 inch bullnose to take these out, the same as I did on the back on both sides. Did all that in 1 step. And you will notice it just cuts down into this side a little bit over here, and that's fine because this will already be hogged out. And for the remainder of these pickup pockets here, I had to go back in here, and I did this in 2 steps. First of all, I unsuppressed this, and I went in there and I used my 1/4 inch bit and just did a pocket clearing for this rectangle on all 4 of these rectangles. And then it just, you don't have to do a multiple depth on that, because it'll just zigzag back and forth to get down to that depth. And then what I did was change this, edit, feature, and instead of distance right here, I changed this to object and selected this. Got in the way, not sure how that happened. Selected this floor right here and clicked OK. And then I did another finish pass, which actually you could do this all in 1 finish pass, which would mean you wouldn't have needed that last finish pass we did on these cavities. And I did a finish pass at this depth all the way around everything with a 1/4 inch bit to make all this stuff smooth here. Anyway, you can figure it out just by watching the videos. I showed you all the little hidden trick stuff to do this. Now when I actually do a production guitar, I don't design the entire guitar like we did here. This was just for video purposes. I design 1 piece at a time before I get too far along and have to undo all this stuff to make it simple to toolpath. before I did all of this cutting in here. As soon as I had the body shape in mind, I would have immediately created a toolpath to run around the outside of the body shape, so I wouldn't have to go back and redo all this stuff down here. And I would go out to my CNC and test it, and I go through many test blanks before I get to a product that I like seeing. And it's all trial and error, and what works for me may not work for you for all of this stuff. Some things you can decide your own way of doing, or all things for that matter. And figure it out on that. One other thing, when I cut out the head veneer, you can't cut it at this angle, so you need to change the head veneer angle before you cut, before you toolpath. So you just go here and right click, move copy, and then go to this rotate. Then for the axis, I just selected this line right back here, right there. And then if you start rotating it, you can take out exactly the same as whatever you used for your headstock value. Just do that in a negative direction. So mine was a negative 7.7 degrees, and now it's flat. And there you go. Now when I'm going back and doing all these changes to do my tool pathing and all that, I don't ever save it while I'm doing all of this. That way when I'm finished, all I gotta do is close the project and don't save, and it went back to my finished guitar. And anyway, hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed the series, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. And good luck on all of that, and God bless you guys.